What up YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a high taper with a number 3 on top. As you can see, I have my Wahl seniors and I have the 3 guard slapped on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it throughout his entire head, just making sure everything's even. And you want to make sure it's all even before we start on the tapers, just to make this haircut a lot quicker. It'll save you time so you don't have to detail it at the end of the haircut. Make sure to brush the hair off too, use those brushes. Don't leave your client feeling really uncomfortable during the haircut. I grabbed my outliners from Babyliss and I'm just going to start doing the guidelines and the high tapers. I took off about 2.5 inches in the back. On the sides, I'm just going to be using the corner there by his eyebrow to use the high side of it. And go ahead and make sure again you get it nice and thorough, zero it out. Grab whatever shavers you have and then go ahead and shave the bald area, and you want to fade at the top of it. Fade out, that way it makes it easier to blend out the zero line later on. I've probably been using these shavers for the past 6 years, the Babyliss ones. If you guys have any other recommendations, put it in the comments and I wouldn't mind checking out a new brand. I grabbed my Wahl seniors and I opened it all the way up, and we're going to go up about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and again flicking up right off the top so it's nice and tapered, so it'll be easier to fade in the other numbers. But I'm gonna go back and forth and brush off so I can see what work I've done, but make sure it's completely even before you want to move on to the next step. Always make sure you're thorough before moving on. I closed up my seniors and now we're gonna fade out that bottom line. I open the lever about halfway through and I'm just going to play with it back and forth, just kind of eyeballing where I need to work on and taking those lines out. So I'll be doing this for a few minutes until I get the desired look, and then I'm going to move on to the one guard. Constantly brushing so your canvas stays clean so you can see your actual work. So I thought I was going to use my 1 guard, but I moved on to my 1.5. And I'm going to remove some of that bulk off before I go and use the number 1. So I have the 1.5 closed at the moment. Working my way up and down. Actually, I like to go back and forth. I like to take my time within that 0 to 1 area. I feel like that's the part that makes the blend pop out. I feel like it's very important to the finished product. The bulk not so much, so I tend to spend a little bit less time. So now I have my 1 guard open and I'm just lightly hitting that guideline right there, enough to give me a nice section for me to fade out when I use the 1 line. That way it just comes out easier. So think about this step as the hard draft, or the rough draft, before we actually remove it with the 1 closed. Notice how I don't flick with my wrist when I fade. I'm actually flicking. I'm not even flicking at all. I'm just moving my arm. Pretend like your arm is stiff and just move up and down with your elbow, but it actually helps not to flick the wrist. I have my 1/2 guard on and I'm just gonna put in those light touches that are gonna blend in the 0 to the 1. Dude, that 1/2 guard, that's that lifesaver right there. That's that necessary guard that'll take your blend to a whole nother level. I'm telling you, get you a half guard. That's why I like these walls. Before these walls, I actually used Andis Masters for about at least 7 years. I didn't use guard for the longest. I don't know if I grew some sort of ego where, because in barber school, the barber school I went to, they taught without using any guards. So I just kind of stuck with that for a while, but then I switched back to the using guards to fade, and I swear I just prefer it. As you can see in the video, I'm lining up the side there with my Babyliss trimmers. I feel like it's time for some new trimmers. I mean, these are really good trimmers. Probably had them for the past 3 years already. I probably only switched the blade on like 2 or 3 times, believe it or not. Those blades are pretty dope, but yeah, it's about time. I'm getting bored with my clippers and I want to try a new set. Lining up the back with the shavers onto the other side, and we're just doing the same thing. I like to clean up the back so I don't have to worry about that. That way I can spend more of my focus on the sides when I'm working on it. I like to kind of like 100% finish up one side and then move on to the next side. For some reason it just works mentally for me. It allows me to focus more on the following section. Again, starting with the Wahl Seniors Open, we're just gonna go up about, on the sides, about 1/2 inch. I feel like the back, I kind of tend to spread the numbers more just because for some reason the back there's just more room to work with there. I feel like you just need to spread it more in the back, but the size, the tapers, you need to be a little bit more tighter. But also it depends on your client's, head shape. At this point, I started with the closed lever, just working my way through that little section there, using my trimmers as well. Just going back and forth until I like it. So after this, we move on to the 1.5 guard. And again, just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. It's not a dramatic difference, but I like it to be, it's almost like prep work. This is the prep work for the one. I like to work my way up and down from like anything from a size 3 to like a 1 guard. But again, like just prepping it up, getting it ready for the important part, which is the 1 part. But the part that I'm going to use the 1/2 guard and the 1 guard. Here it is. I always start with the lever open. Working my way, swiping up, lightly flicking at the top, very lightly. I switched to my 1/2 guard just because it looks about ready. Using the corner of my blade just to kind of detail it. Fine tuning that taper. Switching back to a trimmer just to get those final details and clean up the neck right there behind the ears. Here's me doing the other side real quick. You already know what I did, so just kind of watch and enjoy. Now the lineup. She doesn't really have much hair to line up since we did a high taper. He doesn't like the dark C cup, so you're gonna see me still keep the natural hairline. I'm just gonna do the front, starting at the middle, moving from right, getting those light hairs, trying not to push it back. As you can see, he has a bald spot right about there. So I'm just gonna lightly do my best working with what he has. Not trying to push it back, but just making it look clean. I think that's the goal, is like just, you don't need to give a harsh lineup to those who don't want it. Just make the haircut look cleaner To you, it might look like an average haircut, but to the client, I mean, he's not a barber. He's not really gonna. He's not as picky as you are. I'm rubbing a bit of shaving gel, prepping it up for razor work. I like to comb. Keep that comb when you raise it, just to always have the hair down. Again, starting at the front, go all the way down, get some of that forehead hair, and then get this side part there. Try not to stretch the skin too much just because it might warp the lineup. But check that out. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see a specific haircut, make sure to follow. And this is Alejandro Cuts. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.